Castlemaine project. As you can see, the job's progressed along fairly well. We've just come back after the Christmas break. Anthony here with me. We've got some cool details to show you, so let's join in. So, as you can see here, this is out the balcony, got the great view to the south and the west, and we have some shipwrack timber cladding here, which is being detailed terrifically by the boys. We then have our tiling skirt. This whole balcony has been waterproof. We have a tiling skirt here. We've got a nice little strip drain that runs the whole width across the balcony. We've got the appropriate fall coming from the door. Back to here, water will drain into there. What else can you tell us, Henry?
Well, the strip drain runs to a concealed downpipe, and then that discharges directly into the stormwater drainage below. But it was a big part of the intent here to have those very sort of natural finishes here, as we're completely overlooking all of this natural bush setting and the views beyond. So we've got this very earthy tone finish on the floor tile, and then we've got the natural timber finish on the walls. No bulkhead or beam exposed overhead either, so it's a clear view out. It's all been detailed really well. We've just got the balustrade to go here, I think, though.
Yep.
So the big part of this design was this view, and this is where we're standing at the moment, is the cantilever. So it sort of pushes you into the trees behind us. I don't know if you get the depth perception of that, but we're not that far from them, so you feel as though you're up in that tree canopy and you're really taking in all those views out. It is on the west, so it was important to have a really well protected space here too for this balcony, hence the roof coming over the top. Number one thing we want to do is try and mitigate any bulk water issues, and we do have a prevailing southwesterly that comes in here for the weather patterns, so that was key as well. Behind me, we'll also have some visibility, vertical visibility, adjustable timber louvers to stop that overlooking concern that we have to the joint property owner as well.
It will also block out that southerly wind too, so it is a bit more comfortable for the clients to sit up here and enjoy the views without having that southerly wind blowing through there. So I just want to have a bit of a chat to you about how we're set up to waterproof and tile this ensuite at our Castlemaine project. So the waterproofing membrane has been installed on the walls in the shower. It's run across the floor in the shower, across the ensuite, and then where it's not the shower, it just runs up the wall about 90 mil. So this floor is fully tanked. It means it's 100% waterproof, that it's virtually a dam in here. Our waterproofing in the shower, we have just a puddle flange here, but the whole purpose of the puddle flange is it's designed that, disregard these tiles for now, that the waterproofing, if any moisture gets on top of the waterproofing, it can then drain down the drain. That's the one way it can drain water. And the secondary is that it's all tiled, wood grouted, the water can then come across the top of the tiles and then down the drain. So it sort of serves two purposes. One, to drain water out from the waterproofing, but then from that bulk water in the shower, it drains off the tiles. Another thing that we've done on this project, I do on all my projects, is we have a tile trim running across this shower, and that's fully polyurethane down to the waterproofing, that no water can leak outside the shower because it's got that backstop there, that tile trim, and then we've done the same across the doorway. So it's sort of like virtually two sort of backstops from water leaking from the shower and that. So I'm very big on water management, and that's one thing I do here is, we have the two backstops, and it's from my history is, a lot of homes do leak from their showers and wet areas and that, so it's something I do pay a lot of attention to.
Hi, thanks for taking the time to come and have a look at the Hybrid Home course. It's been produced by OUTLIER Studio, and we've been working on it for the last 18 months. Look, we cover all the topics that you're going to need to be able to upskill and learn a little bit more about how you can have a higher performing home. We look at energy efficient housing design in general, orientation, airtightness, insulation, ventilation, thermal bridging, glazing, and we do touch on cost a little bit too. Although, disclaimer, it's only at the current time of recording that we've been able to put those forward. You'll find everything from as-built verifications, in which we have our own services and advice, helpful handouts that touch on all of the topics that we discussed that you can see on the left-hand side here in the video. We consider things in detail like how we go about recording our height for shading. We also do some demonstrations on how to achieve better results in a NatHERS assessment. You'll see what looks like when we do our inspections and see the thermal bridging occurring, and you can also have a look at a previous presentation from Builders Declare that we did. We'll look at the importance of ventilated cavities and the right wraps and moisture control, as well as the ventilation systems. Thermal bridging is a big one that we touch on, and a step-by-step process of how to install a window. On top of that, you've got all these fantastic construction details you can use for projects yourselves and in your documentation. We look at all the best practices, high performance, and even airtight construction as well in these details. So please take the opportunity now to purchase the course. You will not regret.
So last time I showed you the concrete slab here, it had been cut with a rough cut of the polishing company. So now that they come back, they've done their final polishing, they actually hone a resin into the slab as they're polished. And you can see it's cut back the stone now, it's all polished up, and the client has picked out a nice mix from the concrete yard. It's got white stone through it, and it's come up absolutely amazing. While they were polishing, I did not notice one crack in the slab. I wish I could take credit for that as a builder, but as I touched on at the start of the job, we were excavating into solid rock here. And yes, that was a burden, with financial burden for the client, but also frustration from the client and ourselves. But it's actually, the silver lining is that your home is constructed on solid rock, and as you can see here, the slab does not have a single crack in it, so it's the silver line and everything. You can see here that we've got the door rebaited into the slab, so that when we pour that slab, we set that concrete up so it was set down. The door's sat in there, and you can see we do have a little bit of a lip step there, but it's very minimal compared to the height of the doors. That's one problem with these airtight doors, is they do have like large frames and that, but we minimise that as much as possible. With a big silicone going across there, and yeah, it's a nice, beautiful finish. So the client really wanted an open feel flowing through from this hallway into the master bedroom here. So Anthony and the team and I designed in a full height door, so from the floor to ceiling height. That did come with known complications for us, having an airtight plastered ceiling. How we're going to achieve that look and that door with it. So to come up with that, to make it airtight, the plaster ceiling here is the airtight plaster ceiling, and we just created a plywood box directly above it, which is concealed within that the system for our sliding track, and that's been fully blocked and polyurethane down to our plaster airtight ceiling. As you can see here, here's our door. It's a perfectly flush transition from this external corner here in the master bedroom. So it doesn't sit out. We have a nice little nifty latch that just pulls out. That then slides neatly across our plastered wall. And then again, slides all the way across. There's a nice soft closing system that just pushes it back in its pocket.
So previously we'd sort of shown everyone what the HRV system looked like pre-plaster. We could see all the spaghetti mess that was happening up in our bulkhead here, and we now have the joinery installed as well. So plaster's finished, we've got our cutouts ready up here for the finished vent or grills to go on the front of. But yeah, we're able to fit that HRV supply air, two of them here, which one's just out of screen, into this living space. And the ductwork is in under the higher plaster airtight layer there. This bottom one's just purely to provide that service cavity for the HRV and lights and extraction. So yeah, it's a great little nifty detail, very slick. Yeah, now that hosing from that grill runs all the way back up through the top of this cabinet. Now in here is where the HRV system will be installed. The unit's not here just yet, But we've got all of this ductwork coming in here, and we've got our intake and extract pipes, insulated pipes that run to the outside of the building. That's all been sealed up, airtight, and yeah, we'll tune back in later on to show you that once it's been commissioned and it's operating, give you a look at the details. So a really important thing of this design was ensuring that it was going to be airtight. We've got a continuous mechanical ventilation system in a HRV, but part of that is just testing it with the blower door throughout construction to ensure that, yeah, it is where we want it to be, sub 0.6 in the passive house air change rate that you must achieve for certification. Although we're not going for certification in this project, we did want to set that as our benchmark to achieve. So we've been testing it, as I said, periodically throughout the construction. First, the external wrap, which we were able to achieve at 0.48 ACH at 50 pascals. And then we tested it once plasterboard had been installed. And in this project, we're doing an internal plasterboard airtight layer, as opposed to, say, a proclimer and tello wrap. And in testing it after all the screws had been put through the plasterboard, it was the exact same result. Now we've had the brick layers come in on site and erect all of the brickwork. And as part of that, they've got to install a tie that goes between the bricks and then is nailed in through the wrap to the timber stud. And we've now tested that, and we've noted that there was a slight increase of about 0.15 on our original result. And the problem with that, I suppose, is we don't actually know, as we weren't here present the entire time during construction, as to whether or not that was a direct result of just a tear or the penetrations of the brick ties. But it's a fairly safe assumption to say that, given the magnitude or the amount of the brick ties in this project, that is not the cause. We still need to airtight detail the interior plasterboard, and we suspect that will end up with a result that's back similar or better to when we first tested, given the results we have now.
So I'm currently standing at the front of the house entrance here. As Anthony said before, the brickwork is up. On this project, we've got the recycled reds from Sydney. A few people would say, why from Sydney? The Sydney reds that they've chosen here have a lot of sandstone through them, and it gives it like a sort of real sort of chalky sort of look, and that really blends in well on this site with the sandstone excavation. And the Melbourne reds are a lot more redder, and it also just comes back to availability at the current time. It comes up with a very rustic sort of look, but you can see sort of imperfections within the bricks themselves, and also in the mortar, but that's done intentionally by the bricklayers. The boys from CB Bricklaying done an amazing job with it. Really blending really well with the silver top ash ceiling cladding here, and also that cladding's on the entry door as well. While I'm at the front, I'll talk about the carport. The carport's got galvanised, hot dip galvanised posts with a galvanised steel beam run the whole way through. With the Bell 29 on this project, we're limited to the number of choices of timber we could use for the carport. So we used the spotted gum rafters on this job with spotted gum battens, but they're actually, it's really beautiful timber, and it looks amazing.